5. Why does humanity have a desire to worship someone? I'll disagree with this one. I don't think the premise of this one is well-founded. Groups of people tend to come together over ideas, and there does seem to be commonality of religion in most cultures, if not all cultures in the world. Why is that? Well, this is a question that belongs purely in sociology and, of course, archaeology. I don't think I have a definitive answer, but it probably has to do with tactics for making groups cooperative and cohesive and looking out for each other. It probably has some benefit in that type of capacity. But I wouldn't think that a person living by themselves, a hermit, would have the same sort of compunction to follow religious rituals of any sort. Number 6, why were we given mind and intelligence? Well, given is a bit odd, but you probably already know that. Apparently, it was beneficial for our ancestors to be smarter than their prey. This is actually quite common. The most intelligent animals on the planet are typically pack predators. There are a couple of exceptions to this, but pack predators are social and have to be smarter than their prey, so we are typically the smartest creatures on the planet. The further progression of our intelligence to be able to comprehend quantum mechanics is probably just a byproduct and something that we've developed over time. Our brains are fantastic learning machines, but we don't start out smart. We certainly don't. We develop that over time. And depending on the culture that you're in, you can either cease learning or you can continue learning. Thankfully, we live in cultures where education is praised, and we go on exploring the universe and keep learning stuff, and basically until the day we die. It doesn't necessarily have to be that way, but we're lucky that it is. 7. Where does all of the incredibly complex information come from that is stored within DNA? I have a problem with this term information that you're using here. Information is something that we recognize. It's meaningless without a person to talk about it. A DNA is a string of 4 chemicals in a chain. To use the term information to discuss DNA, you're turning it into a different object in your head for the purposes of comprehension. Information isn't some innate object in the universe. We determine what's information. We are the ones that see patterns. It's not just a random string of chemicals that physically do a thing. We call it information. To say that it's information, that the idea of information exists outside of a human brain, that it exists as some sort of ethereal thing floating through the universe, is a bit dishonest. It's not, information isn't that type of object. 8. Why is there a good side in our nature? Well, apparently that was a benefit to our ancestors to actually get along and like each other. Thankfully, that altruistic people tended to fare better than non-altruistic people, that societies as a whole succeeded when they cooperated. And we inherited that, thankfully, so hopefully we can just continue to improve on that over time. 9. Are we responsible for our deeds? Yes, we are. To ourselves and to each other, which is where law and order comes in. Absolutely, we are responsible for our deeds. There's no escaping it. Number 10. Who created the cause? Who first caused? The first cause argument. There must have been a first cause. There was the first thing. The first cause. And then, of course, it doesn't actually explain anything, because then you're left with the problem, well, what caused the first cause? Oh, that one's special. For no reason. because it's intellectually convenient to think of it that way. I'm going to define a supernatural being that is the first cause by definition without any kind of justification for its existence. It's a nonsense question. You don't even answer it by throwing God into it. You've just created another problem. But there's not necessarily a first cause. Multiverse theory could go back infinity. And besides, time is part of the fabric of the universe. It's complicated. You get to go back before the beginning of the universe. You would actually have to travel outside of the universe, and of course we have no idea of knowing what that is because the only things we can detect are within our universe. It's a whole complicated physics mess. Not a theological mess, or not a logical mess, not a philosophical mess. The first cause argument is a dumb argument, because you don't actually answer anything, and you've actually created your own problem by trying to import God as the first cause. I think you can do better.